Welcome, where we plunge into the most important ideas and latest research to give you the shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we're navigating a topic that feels, well, uniquely urgent. The future of work in an AI-driven world.
It certainly is. It's a source of pretty widespread anxiety right now.
You see it everywhere.
Oh, yeah. We've seen surveys like Microsoft's back in May 2023 showed nearly half of people, 49%, worried about AI taking their jobs.
Right.
And then Pew, around 2025, similar number, 52% concerned. And a Gallup-Bentley University poll in September 23, that went even further.
How much further?
A staggering 75% believed AI will decrease jobs in the next decade. 75%.
Wow. And it's not just this vague fear anymore, is it? It feels more concrete now.
Exactly. We're seeing real examples of AI capabilities that were, frankly, unthinkable just a few years back.
What are some of the things jumping out at you right now, the really striking advances?
Well, the pace is just incredible. Take coding, for instance. We're seeing AI that can complete maybe 60–70% of real-world tasks you find on GitHub.
That much.
Yeah. Or look at visual stuff. Google's VO3. It's producing photorealistic video.
Which is amazing and slightly terrifying.
Right. And even in the physical world, Waymo's self-driving taxis, they're reporting over 80% fewer injuries compared to human benchmarks.
80%.
These aren't, far-off predictions. This stuff is happening now.
It's so easy to look at those numbers and just, well, feel a bit doomed, isn't it?
It is.
But what's fascinating and maybe hopeful is how often our gut feelings about automation have been wrong before.
That's a really key point. History gives us perspective.
Can you give us an example? How has this played out in the past?
Sure. Think about the ATM paradox back in the mid-1990s.
Yes, the cash machines.
Right. Everyone thought, okay, ATMs are here. That's the end of bank teller jobs.
Makes sense on the surface.
And, well, initially the number of tellers per branch did drop, went from about 21 down to 13.
Okay, so far so predictable. But
then, because it became so much cheaper to actually run a branch without needing as many people just counting cash.
Banks could afford to open more of them.
Precisely. They opened more locations. And the net effect.
Don't tell me. More tellers.
An increase in total teller employment. Yeah. And not just for a year or two, for 2 decades.
Wow. So what happened to their jobs? They weren't just counting cash anymore.
Exactly. Their roles shifted dramatically. Less counting money, much more focus on customer interaction, relationship building, selling other services.
So it illustrates how automation isn't always just about job loss.
Right. It's often about job evolution. And it actually increases the value of skills that complement the technology, the human skills.
That's a really powerful lesson to start with. Okay, so our mission in this deep dive then, we're drawing heavily from Benjamin Todd's June 2025 article, How Not to Lose Your Job to AI. From 80,000 hours.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
Our goal is to really unpack how AI automation actually affects job markets, not just the hype.
And crucially, figure out what skills are most likely to become more valuable for you, our listener.
We want to give you some actionable advice, right, for navigating your own career and all this.
Definitely. Because look, some jobs will decline, that's inevitable. But new ones always get created.
And historically, society tends to get wealthier overall through these big shifts.
Absolutely. Think about the Industrial Revolution. People feared machines would kill textile jobs. Textile employment actually increased for a long time because clothes got cheaper and demand exploded. Or look today, agriculture. It's only a few % of jobs in rich countries now. But incomes are maybe 100 times higher. And some places, like South Korea, made that transition in basically 1 generation.
So the key isn't clinging to specific job titles.
No, it's about understanding the underlying skills that are becoming more valuable.
Okay, so the fear is real. We get that. But the ATM story shows it's complicated. To really understand this, we need to look past the headline.
Beyond the hype, yeah.
Let's go back to that ATM example. You mentioned a final twist after those 2 decades of growth.
Right. So tellers increased for 20 years, but now teller employment is in decline.
So what changed?
Well, this highlights a really important pattern. Think of it in 2 stages. Partial automation, like the early ATMs, can actually boost employment. It makes workers more productive, services cheaper, maybe expands the market.
Like tellers focusing on sales.
Exactly. But then comes more dramatic automation. In the bank's case, that was widespread online and mobile banking.
Which could do way more than just dispense cash.
Right. And that eventually reduces employment in that role. We're seeing this pattern already today in jobs like secretaries, admin roles, call center workers.
So cashiers, telemarketers.
Yep. And sadly, seeing sharp declines for special effects artists, animators too, AI is hitting those areas hard.
Yet it's still not always simple, is it? You mentioned some surprising trends, like data science.
Yeah, that one's interesting. Data science employment actually increased by 20% in 2023.
Even though AI is great at statistical analysis. How does that work?
Well, it suggests that AI hasn't replaced data scientists. It's made them more useful. Maybe they can tackle bigger problems now or focus on the interpretation, the strategy.
Amplify their abilities.
Possibly. And translators, too. Overall employment is up. Maybe just general economic growth is boosting demand faster than AI tools are reducing the need.
So it's complex. It's not just AI versus human, job for job.
Not at all. The real-world effects are messy.
Okay, this leads us to a more speculative area,
Right.
but an important one, the idea of full automation.
Right, where AI and robotics could potentially automate almost every economically useful task.
Sounds like sci-fi, but serious people are modeling this.
They are. APOC AI, they focus on AGI, that's artificial general intelligence.
Human-level AI across the board.
Right, and its economic impacts. Their main model, the GATE model, it predicts, well, initially, wages might actually go up, maybe tenfold.
Why?
Because the remaining non-automated human jobs become critical bottlenecks. Their value skyrockets.
Okay.
But then the model suggests maybe in the late 2030s, if all human bottlenecks get automated away, there could be a wage crash.
Oof. That's a pretty dramatic outlook.
Yeah.
Is there a counter-argument?
There is. Phil Trammell's work offers a different view. He suggests that if even, say, 1% of jobs remain fundamentally unautomatable by humans.
Just 1%.
Yeah. Then human wages might actually increase indefinitely.
Yeah.
Because we'd always control that critical bottleneck resource.
Wow, okay. So two very different potential long-term futures.
Very different. But here's the thing. Regardless of whether you expect a boom or a potential crash decades from now.
The immediate strategy is the same.
Pretty much. Learn the skills most likely to increase in value now. Maximize your contribution, your leverage. During this period of partial automation, we're definitely in.
Makes sense. And building savings helps too, presumably. Less reliance on whatever happens with wages or redistribution later.
Exactly. Financial resilience is key.
Okay, so if the strategy is learn valuable skills, what are they? Ben Todd's article, the one we're using as a guide, it lays out a framework, right?
Yeah, he proposes 4 main categories, kind of pillars for future-proofing.
What are the 4?
Okay, first, skills AI won't easily be able to perform. Second, skills needed for actually deploying AI. Third, skills used to make things the world could use way, way more of if they were cheaper or better.
Like healthcare or entertainment, maybe.
Exactly. And fourth, skills that are just plain difficult for other people to learn quickly. High barriers to entry.
Got it. 4 pillars. Let's unpack that first one. Skills AI won't easily do. Why would AI struggle? You mentioned data earlier.
Yeah, data scarcity is a huge one. LLMs, large language models, they thrive on the internet's text and image data. Pattern matching masters.
Right.
But physical movement, real-world interaction, there's no internet of movement data for them to learn from. Building that data set requires real robots doing things, which is incredibly slow and expensive.
So white-collar computer work is easier to automate because the data is already digital.
Much easier, yeah. Compared to, say, teaching a robot to fold laundry reliably in any house.
Okay, data scarcity. What else makes a skill hard for AI?
Things Todd calls messy, long-horizon tasks.
Meaning?
Ill-defined problems, subjective outcomes, success measured over months or years, not seconds. Think about how AI learns now, often through reinforcement learning. Trial and error.
Like learning chess or Go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or coding, where you can test the code instantly. Works great when you have fast, clear feedback. But building a company, starting a cultural movement, setting a national strategy.
No easy win condition there.
Nope. The feedback loop is way too long and fuzzy. AI struggles with that ambiguity and long-term planning in the real messy world.
Is this the Pokemon versus shelves thing? Like AI is still bad at playing Pokemon?
Yeah, apparently worse than a 7-year-old. And simple tasks like get some shelves installed, which involves planning, finding someone, coordinating, maybe dealing with unexpected problems.
Things we do without thinking.
Right. They're surprisingly complex for AI compared to writing an essay or code. Then there's the person-in-the-loop idea.
Meaning, even if AI could do it, we still want a human involved.
Exactly. Could be for legal liability, like a chartered engineer signing off on designs or a lawyer in court.
Or maybe high reliability needs, checking critical AI research.
Yep. Or union rules. Professional bodies think doctors, lawyers lobbying to keep humans central. Sometimes it's just a strong preference for a human touch.
Like nannies,
Yeah,
artists.
maybe. Or jobs requiring physical presence, police, teachers, nurses, and just plain old institutional inertia. Big organizations change slowly.
But that preference for humans isn't absolute, is it? You mentioned therapy chatbots earlier.
That's a really important counterpoint. The assumption from, say, Frey and Osborne back in 2015 was that social skills would be highly resistant. But therapy chatbots are some of the most popular AI apps now, as of mid-2025.
So it's not a fixed line. It moves.
Definitely a moving target. Finally, there are just physical bottlenecks. We don't have billions of robots yet.
Right. Automating all manual jobs needs maybe a billion robots. We make millions a year now.
Something like that. It takes time to build the actual hardware. And even for AI thinking tasks, deployment is still somewhat limited by computing power, data centers, energy.
Infrastructure constraints. Okay, so that's category 1, things AI struggles with. What about category 2? Skills needed for AI deployment. This sounds like where the opportunity is.
Huge opportunity. AI is already like having, 247 expert advisors on tap, unlimited coding for specific projects, unlimited remote admin assistance.
A massive force multiplier.
Absolutely. Look at Y Combinator, the startup accelerator, their June 2025 batch, 70% AI-focused startups, and they're growing several times faster than startups did 10 years ago. The leverage is immense.
So being able to direct these AI virtual workers becomes a really valuable skill.
Hugely valuable.
What does that actually involve? What do you need to be good at?
Okay, so spotting problems or opportunities where AI can help. Understanding AI's strengths, but also its weaknesses, knowing what not to use it for. Writing crystal clear instructions or project specs for the AI.
Like briefing a human team member.
Very similar. Understanding user needs UX is critical for AI products. Designing whole systems of AI workers, including how to check their work for errors, and importantly, taking responsibility for the outcomes.
It sounds a lot like good management skills, but applied to AI.
That's a great way to put it. Competent human managers often find they're better at managing AI teams too. The principles translate.
And beyond directing AI, there are industries supporting the rollout.
For sure. AI scale-up needs hardware expertise. Chip design, manufacturing, continued AI research and development, physical jobs building the infrastructure, data centers, power plants, maintaining the robots, and cybersecurity becomes absolutely critical.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, pillar 3. Skills where the world could use far more of what they produce. You called this elastic demand.
Right, elastic demand. Contrast tax filing with, say, ride sharing. If AI makes tax filing half the price, you still only file taxes once a year, right? Demand is pretty fixed, inelastic.
Got it.
But Uber, Lyft. When ride-sharing got cheaper and more convenient than taxis, people didn't just switch. They started taking way more trips. The whole market exploded. That's elastic demand.
So as AI potentially makes society wealthier overall, where do we expect that kind of explosive growth in demand?
Well, think healthcare people always want more and better healthcare. Nicer housing, better entertainment experiences, luxury goods. Those often see big spikes as wealth increases, especially if wealth concentrates.
Personal development,
Yeah.
coaching, education.
Absolutely. And research, fundamental R&D, scientific discovery, areas where we could absorb almost unlimited progress.
Okay. And the final pillar, category 4, skills that are difficult for other people to learn. Why is this distinct from skills AI can't do?
It's about supply and demand for human labor. If a skill is really valuable but also takes years to master,
Then people who have it can command high wages because new supply is slow to come online.
exactly. The labor market can't just instantly produce more experts. Think of a highly specialized role, like a data center electrician, versus maybe a general restaurant server. If demand for data centers booms, those electricians become critical bottlenecks.
Their wages get bid up.
Way up. While server wages might not change as much because it's easier for more people to learn those skills relatively quickly. High barriers to entry create valuable bottlenecks during rapid change.
That's a really clear framework.
Okay.
Let's get practical. Specific skills you should cultivate, and crucially, how to learn them. Starting with that big one, deploying AI systems.
Right. Understanding strengths, weaknesses, designing systems, specifying tasks, UX.
How do you learn that? Do you need an AI degree?
Not necessarily. The best way is hands-on. Use the newest AI tools right now in your current job. Or on side projects. Try to achieve something real with them.
Experiment.
Yes. And look for opportunities at companies that are using AI rapidly, especially growing ones. That's immersion learning. And don't forget, the soft skills.
Like management, communication.
Crucial. Getting good at managing people, delegating clearly, understanding needs those skills transfer directly to managing AI effectively.
Okay. Next up, personal effectiveness. Things like productivity, social skills, learning how to learn. This sounds like evergreen advice, but why is it more important now?
Because AI gives you leverage. Your personal ability to set goals, manage tasks, stay motivated that gets amplified. If you can direct yourself effectively, you can direct AI effectively.
How do you build those habits, like productivity?
Start small. Use frameworks like Pomodoro. Define your top 3 priorities each day. Use tools, Notion, Trello, even AI assistants to track progress and get suggestions. Build the habit.
And social skills, still important.
More than ever, perhaps. Coordination, relationship building, empathy, these are core human advantages, especially for managing projects and people, whether human or AI. Practice deliberately. Observe people who are good at it.
And learning how to learn.
Super critical. The landscape is changing so fast, you need to be able to pick up new things quickly.
How can AI help with that?
Oh, massively. AI can be your 24/7 personalized tutor on almost anything. Ask it questions, get summaries, test your understanding. Use AI to learn faster. That's a meta skill.
Right. Now, leadership skills. You said these are often those messy, long horizon tasks AI struggles with. But where AI provides leverage, what kind of leadership?
Well, entrepreneurship is a big one. Spotting opportunities, setting strategy, pulling resources together.
How do you learn that without, starting Google?
Run side projects, even small ones. Manage a tiny budget, coordinate a couple of people, or join a young, fast-growing organization. You'll get responsibility much faster there.
And general management, people, product, projects.
Same principle. Start small. Read best practices, sure, but then do it. Manage a contractor for a home project. Volunteer to lead a committee. Seek mentorship. Use AI tools to help with planning, drafting, communications.
What about higher level stuff? Strategy, big decisions.
That's tougher. Learn by working with experts. Use established frameworks, SWOT analysis, scenario planning. Practice forecasting, maybe even just as a hobby. Tracking your predictions. And use AI as an aid to gather data, analyze options, but you make the call.
And true, deep expertise in a field.
Still valuable, maybe more so, but the bar is rising. AI handles the routine stuff, so human experts need to focus on novel insights, research taste, pushing the boundaries. Intense practice and mentorship under top people are key.
Communications and taste. Why is taste becoming more valuable if AI can generate anything?
Because selection becomes the key skill. When anyone can generate infinite images or text, knowing what's good, what resonates, what's beautiful or effective, that's taste, that's judgment.
And personality.
Authenticity.
Crucial for cutting through the noise. Build an authentic connection with an audience, maybe YouTube, maybe a newsletter. Use AI for the grunt work of creation, but your personality, your unique brand and message, that's the differentiator. Refine your taste constantly.
Okay, getting things done in government. Interesting niche. Why is that valuable? Several reasons. Citizens often prefer humans making policy decisions. Government tends to adopt tech slower, creating a lag. And, well, effective governance is a huge social good.
Skills like political strategy, navigating bureaucracy.
Exactly. Policy implementation. You learn this through the standard routes, working as a staffer, internships, think tanks, campaigns, learning from people who know how to operate effectively in that complex system.
And finally, complex physical skills.
Yeah, robotics still lags cognitive AI, especially for tricky, precise tasks in unpredictable settings. Think a surgeon overseeing a robotic procedure, or that specialized data center electrician, a semiconductor technician.
High stakes requires adaptability.
And demand is likely growing, driven by the needs of the AI economy itself. Best way to learn. Apprenticeships in those growing specialized trades.
Okay, so we've covered skills to cultivate. Now the flip side, skills with a more uncertain future. Where should listeners be cautious?
Top of the list is probably routine knowledge work.
What kind of jobs fall into that?
Often jobs in the, say, 70th to 90th percentile of income, maybe $100K to $200 in the US. Things like standard writing, copy editing, straightforward analysis. Think some financial analyst tasks, legal clerk work, maybe routine civil servant reports, even opticians doing standard checks.
Anything involving recall, like medical diagnosis based on patterns?
Potentially, yeah. Administration, translation. AI is just very good at pattern matching in large data sets, which covers a lot of this ground.
And this leads to that idea of pyramid replacement.
Right. Luke Drago's concept, Organizations might become more top-heavy, fewer entry-level roles doing the routine analysis or drafting.
And more senior people managing AI agents doing that work.
Exactly. The entry path narrows. Roles might shift to just checking AI output or focusing purely on client interaction. The structure changes.
Okay, what about coding, math, data science, STEM? The classic advice was learn to code.
It's more nuanced now. Coding is one of the things AI is improving at fastest. That tight feedback loop helps it learn quickly.
We saw software developer employment was flat in 2024 after years of growth.
Right. Data science, interestingly, was still up 20% in 2023, so maybe AI is still augmenting them for now. But some experts think AI could surpass average human coders in complex tasks within, say, 5 years.
So a 4-year comp sci degree focused purely on coding might be risky?
Caution is definitely warranted for long training periods, solely focused on skills AI is rapidly mastering. Roles might shift more towards managing AI coding systems, high-level design, integration.
Visual creation. Artists, designers.
Seeing impacts already. AI is great at images, and cracking photorealistic video now with things like Google's VEO3.
Layoffs happen in special effects. Animation in 2024. Graphic design flat.
Yeah. Human oversight, art direction, taste, those are still needed. But the need for pure generation skills is changing fast.
And finally, predictable manual jobs. Driving, warehouses.
The trajectory seems clearer there. Self-driving taxis like Waymo are actually rolling out now in some cities.
Could be a mass wave of layoffs among drivers in the next 5 years, as the article suggests.
It's certainly plausible, and robots in warehouses are already common. For other predictable manual tasks, maybe the next couple of generations of robotics reach a tipping point.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. So bringing it all together, essential career strategies for this AI world. What are the big moves listeners should consider?
A key one is trying to leapfrog traditional entry-level white-collar roles.
Because AI is automating those.
Exactly. The old path of starting with routine tasks and slowly climbing might be disrupted. So your strategy needs to adapt. Develop those AI deployment and personal effectiveness skills wherever you are. Even if your job isn't tech, practice leadership and communication on a small scale.
Manage a contractor. Run a hobby project seriously.
Yes. Use AI tools to help you do it faster and better. And actively seek roles in smaller, faster-growing organizations, especially those applying AI.
Why small and growing?
You get more responsibility quicker, wear more hats, learn faster. It's a shortcut to gaining those higher-level skills.
What if that's not an option?
Then maybe focus on sectors driven by those harder-to-automate skills. Complex physical work, jobs requiring physical presence, strong interpersonal skills mediator, event organizer, maybe high-end tourism.
Okay, and what about those long training periods, PhDs, med school?
Be cautious, very cautious. AI is moving faster and more unpredictably than, say, the internet or smartphones did.
So a 5-10-year commitment is riskier now.
It just is. Weigh the opportunity costs carefully. True expertise might still pay off, but is that multi-year track the fastest way to valuable skills right now? Maybe not.
The case for dropping out of college is stronger now, if you have a good alternative.
Arguably, yes. If it means getting paid work immediately or faster hands-on skill acquisition, especially if universities are slow to adapt or even restrict AI tools, flexibility is key.
Makes sense. Beyond specific jobs, how do you just make yourself more resilient?
Diversify your options. Don't tie yourself too tightly to one company, one industry, even one country if possible. Living in a large city usually offers more diverse opportunities.
And personally?
Save more money than you think you need. That financial buffer buys you time and options, and seriously, invest in your general mental health. Adaptability, resilience, there's psychological strengths too.
And the overall mindset. It's not about finding the one AI-proof job.
No, that probably doesn't exist long term. It's about riding the wave, constantly learning, staying aware of where AI is going, and positioning yourself 1 or 2 steps ahead. Aim for the skills that are becoming the new bottlenecks.
So it's about continuous action and adjustment.
Yeah.
What can someone do, like, now, this week, this month?
Okay, this week. Find one small new way to apply an AI tool in your current work or a side project. Just experiment.
Get your hands dirty.
Exactly. This month, pick one of those high-value skill categories we talked about, maybe AI deployment, maybe leadership, maybe communication, and take 1 or 2 concrete steps to actively learn more about it or practice it. Online course, small project, talk to someone who's good at it.
And bigger picture, this quarter.
This quarter. Step back and consider if a larger shift is needed. Maybe taking on a new responsibility at work. Maybe adjusting your long-term career goals to align better with where the value seems to be heading. Be proactive.
That feels like the core message, doesn't it? The power of being proactive, of adapting.
Absolutely. If you understand the forces at play and you strategically build these complementary, hard-to-automate, high-demand skills.
You not only protect yourself, but you can actually increase your value, your leverage in this new world.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You become part of the solution, harnessing the AI rather than being replaced by it.
So a final thought for our listeners to chew on. As AI gets better, it keeps revealing new bottlenecks, new things only humans can do well.
Yeah. So think about your own field, your own work. What's the truly messy, long-horizon task in your area? What skill makes someone the indispensable person in the loop when AI handles the rest?
And what does identifying that mean for your very next step?
That's the question to ponder.